Okay, so today I'm here with Melissa Killion. Hello, Melissa.
Hi, Willie.
It was great to have you come on to our podcast, and I know that you and I have talked over the last couple of weeks about it, and you just have such a great story. You do such a great job with all of your clients, and I love everything that you're doing with the marketing side and all the things that you've done, and you shared your story with me before, and I thought it'd be great for us to share it today on the podcast. But before we do, let's start going into like how you even got into real estate. I know that with real estate, so many, everyone gets into it for a certain reason.
Right.
For me, I was $125,000 in debt. I thought I was going to be this insurance guru for my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden got into this debt, got into real estate, loved it, and never looked back.
Mm-hmm.
But tell me a little about yourself and how you even started in real estate.
I kind of fell into real estate. I was a perpetual student. I was working on my second master's degree in adolescent development and counseling psychology. And I wanted to get into the school systems. I wanted to help kids. And right as I was graduating from both of those degrees and getting ready to go into the school system is when New York State had laid off all unessential employees for school systems, which one of them was school counselors. So I was competing with literally 300 other candidates for a job, and I had zero experience other than my internships, and I wasn't getting jobs. So in the meantime, I was bartending, and I had been bartending for, 10 or 12 years. And I was like complaining to one of my clients about it, and he's like, you should talk to my buddy. He's in commercial real estate. He's looking for an admin. You could go be an admin for him. And I was like, all right, I'll do that for now. So I went and did that, and I actually kind of liked a lot of aspects of the real estate, but I didn't feel like commercial real estate was really my jam. So I ended up getting hooked up with somebody else, and they said, why don't you switch into residential? It's more personal, more emotions. He's like, you'd be great at it. So I did, and I loved it. I absolutely fell in love with it, and I never looked back. And the good thing about real estate is that you still get that sense that you're helping people, and that was really important for me. So I still get the sense that I'm helping people, but I get to do something I love every day. I get to meet amazing people every day. And that's kind of how I fell into real estate. I didn't knock the door down for that. It knocked the door down for me. So I'm very thankful for how everything kind of panned out with that.
That's great. I mean, psychology is so funny. I tell people all the time, like when we're dealing with our clients, whether it be a buyer, whether it be a seller, there's so many things, right? We're just problem solvers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not only that, but there's so many different personality types that are out there, right?
Right.
And if you don't know how to handle those, or if we take a lot of things personally, which a lot of times is not personal, it's really what their person or that client's going through.
Right.
We'd be out of the business if we didn't know how to handle that. Mm-hmm. So I definitely see that in some interactions that you've had with clients and just kind of calming them down, like, hey, we got this. We'll get through it, and here's the steps to go, right?
Right.
And actually walking them through. I think that's really the secret in real estate. And with real estate, do you really see it more as a sales position or more of a service position?
Oh, 100% service. 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, obviously you're selling things, but it's the service that you're providing your clients. And that is why I have built the database I have, is because I came from the service industry. I came from bartending and waiting tables, and that's how I got through college, my undergrad and my grad, just building rapport with people and really truly listening to what their needs are, and then taking that and putting the pieces of the puzzle together for them, and then finding them the house that they like or helping them sell the house. So it's definitely service-driven, in my opinion.
So you actually listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Well, that's one of the things that I learned, not just being a bartender and waiting tables, but also getting my master's degrees. Like, counseling is a lot of listening and understanding what your clients need, and then helping them find the path themselves.
That's awesome. No, I totally agree with that. I mean, it's totally, everyone says, oh, it's sales, and you salespeople are alike. I'm like, listen, real estate is all service, and it's basically showing up on time or early. It's taking care of the client's needs, like you said, listening to what they need, and then fixing that. I mean, if someone says to you, hey, I need 4 bedrooms, and you're out there showing them 3 just because you're trying to sell a house, you're a salesperson, right?
100%.
And that's why you get so much your business by referral. So, So, you said bartending, got your degrees. Obviously, that's where you got a lot of the service work. When you first started on, like, just kind of go back to your first year in real estate, because a lot of people listen to this podcast are either coming into real estate or have been in real estate for a number of years. And sometimes we forget where we came from. But if you go back maybe the first year or two in real estate, what was it for you that, I know it took off from right from the beginning as far as wanting to be in the business, but I know it had to be a little bit of a struggle. Can you share any struggles that you had early on?
So my struggle was just learning all of like the process stuff. Like building the rapport with clients was not difficult for me, and picking up the phone and calling people was not difficult for me. It was all of the stuff in between. It was the contract to closing that was my struggle, learning all that stuff, the inspection stuff. And you kind of, in this business, you kind of learn as you go in a lot of ways. So it was just learning, okay, this is what happens at a septic inspection. This is what happens when the well and the septic aren't enough feet apart, like just stuff like that. That was in my opinion, that was my biggest struggle, was learning that piece of the puzzle.
And that came just with experience. The more deals you went on, right?
The more deals you go on and the more shadowing you do, the more you learn.
And that's so true, because I was just talking to a recruit today that is going through licensing right now. And I said, all the things that you're going to learn in real estate school, probably 80% of them you won't even apply or need to know, right?
Right.
Going into the real estate business, you just needed to pass a test. But no one really shows you how to build a real estate business in real estate school.
Right.
Right? They don't really actually tell you that. How do you prospect, and how do you pick up the phone, and what's your scripts and dialogues, right? What's your lead conversion look like, and all the other things that go with it. But you just mentioned something which is important. There's a lot of transactional agents that are out there. What I mean by that is that they get a deal, they know how to prospect, they get someone listed, and then they blow it throughout the process. But the really good agents, the one that get a lot of repeat and referral business, which I know you do, have an actual process and a service that they provide to that person, so that that experience is great from the time they met them to the time that they close. And now they're... And
then months and years after.
Right.
Yeah.
Biggest
Absolutely.
Raven fans, right?
Yeah.
So how do you keep, say just going to the actual process of actually doing that, how do you keep everything in line? Like, do you have a CRM that you use? Do you have a checklist that you use? Is it all in your mind?
So I didn't used to have any of that stuff. I used to just, go with the flow. But as I got busier and my database grew bigger and bigger, I needed to have like a checks and balances. So I incorporated a CRM into my business. And I use that almost exclusively to keep track of my deadlines, to keep track of anniversaries, to keep track of my client's information, who's the lender, who's the attorney, what was in the attorney approval, like all that stuff. So the CRM really just kept me organized and focused and on task with what you need to do on a daily basis.
So speaking about task and deadlines, how important is time management been to you?
Oh my God, it is critical, like absolutely critical. And I'll be the first one to say, like, I'll have a schedule set for the day, for the week, and one email will throw you off,
Right.
that. So if I say this to myself now, if I can get through like 75% of my schedule or even 70% of my schedule on a daily basis, then I won.
That's a huge win. Yeah.
Huge win, especially now with all the stuff that's going on with COVID. Like, I know a lot of agents are home and their kids are there and their husband's there, and it's just chaos, and it's hard to keep on task. But the one thing that I've always done since the beginning of time is, I was always an office person, but now that I don't have an office, I make a space at home. Your Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday, your mornings are your money time. That's when you need to be prospecting. That's when you need to be reaching out to your database, doing all of your money-making tasks first thing in the morning. That way, if you get that crazy email that something's going awry, you've already done what you needed to do for the day, and it doesn't take you completely off track. That's
awesome. Now let's go into that, because that's a question that I ask a lot of people, because I get that question a lot. Like, what's a typical day of a top producer, right? What do you do on a day-to-day basis? Like, and I know it's different every day, so it's really hard to say, oh, here's what I do every day, because every day is not the same. But if you had a perfect day, right, and you had your perfect day, you just mentioned your morning routine, which I hear that a lot. Describe what a typical day would be if it was the perfect day for you.
Oh, the perfect day. So the perfect day usually starts like 8 for me, like work-wise. That's when I am calling I'm prospecting, really. I'm calling my database, checking in with them. If there's expireds or FSBOs or anything like that, that's when I'm doing all of that kind of stuff. Reaching out to people, trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together for them, whether it's, something that isn't going to happen right now, but now I've nurtured them and I'm going to keep them in my database, and now I'm going to work with them in a year from now. All that stuff in the morning is the most important thing. And then after that, you're answering emails, you're checking on deadlines, what happened with yesterday's inspections. That's kind of like late morning, early afternoon. And then your later afternoon is prepping for your appointments, your showing appointments, your listing appointments, getting your CMAs together, doing all that kind of work. And then your appointments are in the evenings.
So, one thing that you left out there, and I know that this is a big part of it, is that, you have 3 children.
I do.
Right? And the ages are?
I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 10-month-old.
There you go. And you're still able to pump out $10+ million of business. So I think a lot of people, I would think that before 8 o'clock involves family, right?
Yes.
Getting them ready, getting them lunches, whatever they need. There's no school now because of COVID and what's going on, but that's hopefully going to come back here in the next couple of months. So that was the business side of it. What about with family? Like, how do you have a work-life balance?
Listen, I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I'm not a great mom. I mean, that's the reality of it. Sometimes I need to put that stuff aside, but I also carve time out every single day to spend with my family, to spend with my partner, so that, it's not all work, because it's very easy, and this, it's very easy to be on your phone and on your computer all day and night. It's very easy to do that. So I shut off. So after my appointments, I like to try to be done with my appointments if I can, early evening, like 6 or so. And then I shut off. I shut off until the kids go to bed and until, everybody's settled. And then, I'll be honest, like 9, 10 o'clock, I'll go back through and just check and see what's going on, and then emotionally prep my day for the next day. But yeah, you got to carve time out. If you don't have time management, if you don't have time carved out for your family, for yourself, this business can get the best of you for sure.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, you said, sometimes you're not, and that's great that you admit that, because, I feel the same way a lot of times. My kids are older now, they're 20 and 23, but when they were younger, there were days that, just things happen, or a client all of a sudden calls you, you're trying to deal with something, the kids come home and, hey, wait, I'll be right out there. And you feel like you're neglecting them. But at the end of the day, I know you do a great job with your family. So give yourself some credit with that.
Thank you.
Let's talk about lead generation, because I know a question comes up a lot of times that I hear, what's the best, what's the one pill that I can take that's going to make me successful, right? And what should I be doing for lead generation? What's that one thing, Willie, I should be doing? And it's just like, there's so many different things that we can be doing, but there are our favorites. And I know, we're talking with you what some of yours are, but maybe you could just share, your top 2 or 3 ways that you develop business now, and then maybe talk a little bit about when you first started.
Right. So now I am very lucky that I have a pretty good database that I can I get a lot of referrals out of. The majority of my business is referral-based business at this point. But I do have a Zillow. I'm a premier agent on Zillow, and I pay Zillow, and I get those leads. The trick is, with the Zillow leads, you need to call them many, many times. You need to stay in touch with them. You need to nurture them. Because a lot of times a Zillow lead will come in and it's just somebody playing, oh, that house is cute. And then all of a sudden they're like, all right, well, maybe we should list our house. And then that's 6 months down the road. And then before you actually get them to buy a house, it's a year later. Right. So there's a long period oftentimes of, nurturing them. And then sometimes you get a Zillow lead that's ready to go, and sometimes you don't. I mean, sometimes they're not great at all, but you got to go through those. And that's with any lead generation. You gotta work the leads. You really do. And then social media. I love social media. It's free, and you can reach so many people, and it's a branding thing. So I don't really know how much business I actually get off of my social media stuff, but I know that, I'm consistently posting on there the videos and my just listed, just solds, and all that stuff. And you're constantly staying on top of people's minds. So if the conversation does come up with a family member or a friend, they're like, oh, I just saw Melissa Killion just sold one in Guilderland or whatever, and why don't you give her a call? So the social media aspect is really, I think, one of the easiest things you can do as a new agent to start building your brand, building your business. And if you don't have just listed, just sold, you don't have pendings to post, you can find other real estate related things, questions, surveys, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think you're right. So the top three would say your COI, past clients, because you've been building up for a while. The second was Zillow, being online, because that's, I hate to say it, but that's where a lot of the business is going.
There's value in Zillow for sure.
And like you said, the 80-20 does apply to this, meaning that only about 20% of the Zillow calls that come in are actual now business. The other 80% doesn't mean that they're terrible, because I'll hear agents say, oh, Zillow, they suck, right? The leads suck. And then when I actually talk to them about their lead follow-up, it's like, well, your lead follow-up sucks. It's not Zillow.
Yeah.
But you're right, it's 80% down the road. And sometimes I read a stat where they said it's like 388 days to convert a buyer from the time they come on the internet on a Zillow lead to the time they actually close. And a lot of people don't realize that, and it's tons of money that we waste by not following up on those older leads. And we've been guilty of it, right? We've talked about that as well. When you and I first started working together, you were like, well, I can't even get to these leads because I'm so busy on the personal leads. But social media being a third one, I thought that was something that you always did a great job with doing that. And that's another source of your database because you're staying top of mind, right? And we have to be top of mind so people don't forget us or don't, when they're thinking about real estate, you want them to think about you. And like you said, you're getting passed on to their friends. So talk about video, because I know you and I had kind of a discussion when we first started about video, and you're like, I hate video and I don't like video. What has that done for you? And talk a little about, Oh,
I did. I hated video. I didn't want to do it. You forced me into it, and thank God you did, because it's really been a huge branding piece for me, the car talk videos. But I didn't want to do it, and you just kept pushing me to do it. And you're like, just do it and post it and stop being a baby. And I finally did. And then once I did, it kind of, every video you do, it gets a little easier and a little easier. And, they're a minute and change, not even sometimes. And it's just a little helpful piece for, buyers, sellers, friends, whoever. I mean, sometimes it's not even real estate related. Sometimes it's related to other stuff. But it's been a huge benefit to my social media and to my branding.
And you get tons of views on them.
Yeah.
Right? You get people kind of joke with you a little bit, bust on you a little bit, right?
So that's fun. That's the banter that I love. I love that stuff.
But I remember the first one you did, you did like 20 takes, and like you sent me one.
27 takes.
Right?
And I think I sent you 3. I'm like, which one do I pick?
I'm just post it. Put it up. They
cares?
all look great. Yeah. But hey, I would rather have, I'll take someone's unprofessional or unperfect video over no video any day. Right. So that's most important too, to make sure you get the video out there. How do you you have a great relationship too with a lot of agents that I talk to. If I talk to other agents at a company, and when you first came on board, like, oh, I saw Melissa came over to your company, she's awesome, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm sorry, I'm just telling you the truth. I mean, I hear always good things about you and how you conduct your business. I mean, what is it that you feel that sets you apart? Because there's some agents that I talk to, at other companies that, bash other agents that are out there. So what are your thoughts on that?
So my thought on that is that even though we all work for different firms, we all work together. Mm-hmm. You want to sell a house, I want to buy a house, vice versa. We're working in this together. We're teammates. So I always take the approach when I'm working with another agent, you're my teammate. Like, we're in this together. Let's get this done. Let's figure out whatever we can do to do it. And it makes the transaction so much easier, especially when you come into some issues. Now you've already set, the tone of how the transaction's going to go, how the conversations are going to go. And it just makes for a smoother transaction. And then we both get to where we need to go at the end, to the closing table, and everybody's happy. So I just always take that approach. And plus, there's no real reason. Like, some agents are nasty. They're just nasty just to be nasty. Like, what is the point of that? Like, I don't want to work with you. Yeah. Nobody else is going to want to work with you. I want to be the agent that you're like, all right, she's great to work with. Let's get this deal done. Especially now with all the multiple offers. Like, I'm sure that plays a role into, if the offers are the same, who the agent is. So it's really important for me and for my clients. I want them, I want everybody to know that we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point that you just mentioned. We're all in the same thing. We're all professionals. Mm-hmm. And, I think just before we started this podcast today, there was something that I showed you on social media that I didn't think was really professional from another agent who had posted something out there. And it was, reach out to that agent. If you got a problem with someone, call me, call someone, right? Versus posting it out there. And I think that you're right. It reflects all of us as real estate agents and brokers as well. So, thinking back to just in the last couple of months, I mean, as we're taping this, it's June 2020 now, going into the summer months, which is really our spring market right now because we've missed it now with COVID. But I know that initially in the first week or two of COVID, everyone was kind of set back, including yourself, right? Kids are home, like what's this going to blow over in a couple of weeks? And then all of a sudden I started saying, no, it's going to be maybe a month, maybe 2 months. Now look, it came out to be 3 months. What are some of the things that, because you came out of the gate really strong. A lot of our agents came out of the gate really strong. What do you think of some of the things? Why is that different for, say, you and some of the other agents that are here versus other agents that are still saying it's dead? There's nothing going on, or I don't have any listings. I don't, 2 buyers I have, we can't get them approved or not approved, but they're missing out for multiple offers. Why do you think you've had such a jump start into this over the last 3 months?
A lot of it has to do with everything that we did with Miranda Real Estate as a whole, the constant videos, the calls, just keeping everybody up to date, the accountability groups, all that stuff kept me on track and kept me motivated and kept me reaching out to my clients, doing productive things. When it was really dead there, instead of doing nothing, I was doing scripts and doing some coaching stuff and some training stuff and like picking up other tidbits on how to be successful, how to be better at time management, how to provide a better listing presentation. All those things kept me in the business and kept me working on my business so that I was in touch with all my clients. I was in constant contact with them, letting them know what was going on. So then as soon as the gates lifted, it was like the floodwaters.
Game on.
Yeah.
There we go.
And that's kind of was the key to my success during COVID.
Okay, awesome. A lot of agents coming into the business now, and I always ask this question, like, how long you been in business now officially?
It's my 10th year.
10th year. So you got 10 years, a whole decade under your belt, believe it or not. But knowing all the things that you know now, for a new agent coming into the business, what would be some advice you would have them to get off the ground or to get started? Maybe something that you didn't do early on because you didn't know about it, or now that you know about it, you would do more or recommend?
Yeah. So, I actually did. My first year, I threw myself into, remind you, I was a perpetual student coming off my undergrad and then 2 master's degrees. So I was all about learning. So I threw myself into scripts. I threw myself into coaching, and I didn't even have the money to pay for the coaching every week, but I did it anyways. I learned as much as I could about the business so that I could start learning how to do lead gen, because really, ultimately, that's what you need to do to jumpstart your business.
Right.
For a newer agent coming in, I would say, one of your best ways to do that, other than scripts and like coaching and stuff like that, is to get hooked up with a mentor, somebody who's doing really well, who has the business, and they can kind of feed you some of the leads, and you can shadow them, and they can teach you, how to become successful. And that's really the best way to do it, because it's hard even as a new agent. If you're, you can throw $500 into Zillow every month, but if you don't know the scripts and you don't know how to work with the buyers, it's kind of a waste of money because you don't know how to get them to contract.
Yeah.
So that would be my suggestion, is kind of.
That's awesome. That's priceless. Like you just said, to have a mentor, for me, I got to think. I think back to myself, 6 months into the business, I joined coaching. I couldn't afford it. I paid $1,500 for an event to go, right?
Yep.
I paid over $1,000 a month, every month for coaching. And I was like, I don't know, I just put on a credit card.
Yeah, charge it.
I was already in in debt, 125,000. What's another, 20 grand? But it definitely had a shortcut to the success.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
Like, success leaves clues. So why try to reinvent all this stuff and do it?
Exactly.
The other thing you said I like is that you said, get with a mentor or a team or something like that, where not so much for the leads. The leads are good, but it's also all the things that you learn, like we talked about earlier, about how to handle a septic inspection or how to handle a negotiation that, went bad. Right. You can actually see how someone turned around, so that next time you're faced with that, you know how to handle that. But I definitely agree with that. I think agents should be like working for free if they had to, or
That's
just.
what I did. I did every open house, every showing. I did everything for free. Whatever you need, I'll do it.
Open houses work?
Yes.
I know.
They sure do.
I hear, there's some agents, and I totally respect them. Like, they're just like, I hate open houses. I'm not doing open houses, which is fine.
Yeah.
But for a new agent,
it is a wonderful tool to get business and to just learn how to talk to people and show a house. There's a lot of benefit to that.
Yeah. And when I say new agent, I mean, it could be 3 to 5 years in. I mean, this is not something you just get your license and all of a sudden, the phones are ringing off the hook. I tell people it's a good 3-year grind in the beginning just to get you to get to where you need to get, to where you feel a little more self-sufficient, right? You got leads, actually people calling you.
Yep.
Because people, let me ask you this. Did you have people that didn't do business with you in the beginning because they felt maybe you're too new, or maybe thought,
I never told anybody I was new.
Yeah, right.
I faked it till I made it. Yeah. I never told anybody I was new. If I didn't know the answer to a question, I said, I'm not sure. I'll get right back to you on that. And I would go to my mentor and say, I don't know what to do. What do I do with this?
Right.
But I never put off that vibe that I was new. So I think that helps me too.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think that some agents get freaked out, or I never did a listing before, or I don't know, I'm not really good at that. Get good at it, right?
Yeah.
There's so many different things that you could do, like you said, and invest in yourself. If you can't afford coaching, you could watch tons of YouTube videos.
Oh my God, there's so much free stuff. Like Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, like Brian Buffini. Like there's so much free stuff online that you can get. Like I'm pretty sure you can even download the scripts, like the buyer scripts, the listing and presentation, like the actual scripts right offline for free.
They're all great. Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, Brian Buffini. I know I was with Craig Proctor early on as well. All great mentors of mine as well. Podcast. I know we're doing a podcast today, and I know there's some good stuff that's out there, whether it be a YouTube channel or a podcast. What's your favorite one?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't do that.
No? No. You don't listen to podcasts?
No.
Only the ones I've sent you recently.
Only the ones that you've sent me, but I am like a book on tape gal.
Okay.
I like my books on tape.
More the Audible?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that stuff. Like, especially because you know how much we drive. I'm constantly driving. So I'm always listening to, inspirational stuff, or just stories about how, you went from this to this, or just little things all the time.
How about in goal setting? Do you do goal setting?
I do. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I did that from day one. I remember it was literally like a piece of like paper. I wrote on like a piece of computer paper. Stop bartending and pay off my car. That was my first year goals, and I did both of them. Awesome. All
right, well, I want to wrap it up. I know we're just about out of time, and I always kind of like to leave a question, like you're already 10 years under your belt. I don't know how much longer you want to keep doing this. I think you're going to be doing it for a while.
Yeah.
But what do you see real estate here in the next five years? I'm not even going to go 10 years. I'm just going to go next 3 to 5 years.
I think it's only going to keep getting better, and I want to keep getting better for my clients and for the community. I want to keep striving to do better, and that's one thing that I'm never happy with just where I am. There's always that next level I want to get to. So I think the area is a great area. I think it's going to continue to grow. The expansion here, the new construction, it's a great place to live and to raise your children and to be. So I think, the market here is going to stay really stable.
Awesome. I agree. All right. Well, another edition with the Live with the Leaders. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Willie.
If a client wanted to reach out to you and want to do business with you, what would be the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Text me.
Text you.
518-588-4272. Text me. I will respond almost immediately.
All right, great. Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Keep killing it. I know you're going to have another great year to share.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. I don't know why you said bye.
Oh, that was fun.
Bye. Yeah, see, that wasn't hard, right?
Oh.